Hello gamers. I know it's been a while. Sorry, I said I would put this out like a year ago. Well, you know, I was gonna do like an episode a week, but life happened. I had IRL things to grind, and yeah, I will try to make it up to you. A lot of people liked last video. I did not expect that, so thank you. And yeah, again, if you subbed waiting for this to come out so you could learn something and then it just never happened, and you unsubbed, I get it. Probably would have done the same. My bad. But anyway, I'll make some teams for you to copy for this current season, because I think a new season just happened. Yeah, 50 days, so it started like 10 days ago. Okay. In the last video, we learned basics of team building. We learned what a core is, how they fit together to make a well-rounded and effective team structure that has powerful synergies and can deal with a lot of the sort of hypothetical teams that you're probably going to run into on ladder. In this video, part 2 of my guide series for Loomian Legacy PvP, we're going to start exploring how to actually use the teams that we build. We're going to go over some necessary resources that I think every player should make use of. And we'll discuss the team preview screen. We'll think about how we choose what we're going to bring to battle. And I think this video will be a little bit shorter than the last one, so I'm going to do a little something special as a sorry for taking so long. I'm going to pass you a team that I had quite a bit of success with. As you can see, last season's champion is in this game, and I only beat him last season running a few cool teams, and I will give you those because they are actually unchanged for this season, which I think is cool. So hopefully that helps you on ladder. That'll be my little apology gift to you guys. Okay, here we are in the team builder. I'm going to go over 2 teams that I used last season that I think still work this season. I'm not going to go over teams that have now banned Cephalops on them. You know, there were a lot of really broken Cephasnack cores. I'm not going to worry about those. I'm going to show you a hyper offense team, which is this one, and then I'm going to show you a balanced team that I made. This team was not made by me. This was made by Weister, who's a very good player. He's been top of the leaderboard for every season. One of the most loyal Loomian Legacy players I know. Myself, I just kind of play Showdown now. But you know, maybe I'll come back. Maybe this guide will inspire me to come back. So the only change from last season is that Rancidor Goop Spout got nerfed. This used to do damage and poison, now it just poisons. I don't really think it's a huge deal though. Anyway, so this team, I think I went 44-3 with it. It's a ladder-proven team that is pretty much unchanged. So hopefully you get some value out of it. Weister played it better than me, but me being a bozo who knew nothing about hyper offense, I still did fine. So I'll just explain how this works. So it's a banana split team. So basically this move makes it so that everything that comes in is slower, and you exploit that by running things that aren't super fast, but you know, a +2 Soul Burst Joltooth or a Joltooth click and ambush and then getting to hit something again because it's slower. I don't actually know what Thunder King Joltooth speed tier is, but whatever his speed tier is, it's not the best. Dakuta speed tier, good, but not the best. Tyrex, super buffed by webs, nimble on this. Terradescent, very, very much buffed by webs. You know, at +1 with sticky web up, you're going to outspeed everything. Or banana split, I should say. And yeah, basically this team is just, we have a web setter who can also set icicle traps. This is huge for stall, I will say. This isn't always huge for stall, but this can be, so. Yeah, and then we're running Assertive with Preemptive Strike. The Clutch plushie guarantees that we get Banana Split up. As long as we don't take like a Preemptive Strike ourselves and then get hit after that, you know, you don't want to like troll your Binoki to death, but yeah, so really quickly just going over the team. Banana Split, Icicle Trap, we got two hazards. We got Preemptive Strike to do trip damage and potentially outspeed some, you know, something that could be scary or whatever, we can hit spirit types because we're assertive. Frost Punch hits Gargolem. There you go. Very nimble to get our hazards up. Usually, you're just bringing this thing in, setting Banana Split, and then Monkey's done his job. Our Soul Burst is Jewel Tooth. Basic, like Swords Dance melee guy. Yeah, he's got Brawn Boost, 3 attacks, dual stab. Pretty decent dual stab with Earthquake. His coverage good. He just doesn't hit that hard. Honestly, Soul Burst Jewel Tooth is kind of situational. You kind of have to soften them up a little bit. It's not just going to click Brawn Boost and win the game most games. Dragadyne is our thing that prevents hazard removal. So we have Provoke. So we can stop things from healing. We can stop things from setting up. We can stop things from phasing us. A lot of cool stuff. We can stop things from setting hazards. We have Peace of Mind. And importantly, this is the big deal, we have Staunch and we're an air type. That means they can't remove our hazards with Teardown, and because we're air type, they can't remove our hazards with Mudslide. So Dragadyne, it helps Monkey do his job. Monkey sets webs, Dragadyne keeps the webs up. Then Dakuda, just so good. Such a good mon. Brute Force plus Power Cuffs combine with Torrential Slash and Venom Slash to give this thing a lot of immediate power, which is great, because this thing is also a Provoke Bulk Up Sweeper. This is the melee version of this, except this doesn't block webs, This doesn't block hazard removal, but it does offer immediate power. And immediate power is a big deal. I talked about it in the first part of this guide series, and I'll talk about it some more. This thing is the closest thing we have to a defensive option. It's a restrictive shield Tyrex, but it's still Power Jaw, Brawny Nimble, max attack, max speed with 2 bite moves and Earthquake, and then Mud Spatter, which lowers speed. This move actually is quite useful. You know, if they remove Banana Split somehow, and then they have something that, you know, can maybe reverse sweep you, but Tyrex can live 1 hit from it, you get this Mud Spatter off, and suddenly you're chilling. It has quite a bit of use. We have another melee sweeper. This one we run Mesmerizing so that we can't get Revenge killed with priority, because, you know, a light type can get hit pretty hard by priority. Yeah, so it's max attack, max speed, some health, super bulky on the melee side. Actually, it's quite bulky on both sides. It has very good stats, except again, you know, it doesn't hit very hard, so you do have to set up with it, but it's easy to keep this thing healthy between Parasitize, Health Amulet. This is great coverage. This helps you deal with things like Plasmoth. I love Terradescent. I wasn't really hooked on this thing until Veister made this team, and I saw that it was actually good, because I'd never lost one of these before. I feel like they kind of always flopped. And this thing is situational, but I'll show you like a perfect use case example later on. And then we have this Goggles Rancidor. Crazy ability, Life Orb the ability, very nimble with Goggles. You don't need this thing to be smart to do an insane amount of damage. And yeah, the speed is massive. 113 base speed on Very Nimble is just fantastic. It's going to outspeed a lot of conventional speed control Loomians, and it's going to just nuke them or something, you know. This coverage is super nasty into like most things. Even a resisted Draco Beam coming off of Goggles Do or Die is just... it's just huge. You can also throw Fade Away on this thing. I'm not sure if you would want to replace Energy Break or Goop Spout. Maybe Goop Spout now that it's nerfed, but I love Rancidor on this team. I think that's a great pick for this team. And yeah, if you want this, you know, shoutouts Veister. I'm just putting this out there because nothing's really different about this. The meta isn't really more resilient against this than it was before. In fact, I would say it's probably even weaker into this kind of team now. So there you go. That is our hyper offense showcase for Year 1 Season 3, is it? We're moving up. And then next, as part 2 of my thank you for sticking around and waiting gift, is the balance team that I used last season. So I don't think this team is super strong, but I didn't lose once with it, so I don't really know. This team went undefeated to Ace. I think I went to like 1350 or something with this team without losing, and then I just stopped playing. It's kind of wonky, you know, we have Teardown on a Soul Burst Stratosaur, and then we have Teardown Plasmoth with no pivot and no electric move. It looks bad. We have Heartbreak Ursnack, trust me, this is good. I'm going to explain the logic of it a little bit. So this is basically a modified Season 0 Ikabor balance, but you know, Ikazune can't really pivot anymore, so we have Zulong, who has the same coverage as Ikazune, with Fast, Baffle, and Stab Elemental Burst, and Brute Force. So Brute Force makes this guy actually hit a little bit harder than Ikazune, and it's a lot faster. Ikazune's base speed is what, 94? This thing is 119. So we can run very smart and still be faster and stronger than the Ikazune. The only reason this is, in my opinion, still a lot worse than just Ikazune, well, old Ikazune, you know. Ikazune doesn't have Zip-Zap, or Flash and Flee anymore. You know, it lost Flash and Flee after Season 0. Don't really know why, I don't think it needed to, but it's fine, whatever. Zulong miraculously kept Fire Breath. I thought this was going, but apparently not, so yeah, this is crucial. But Zulong is basically a stronger and faster Ikazune that cannot remove Icicle Traps. So yeah, you win some, you lose some. Borak, my favorite breaker in the whole game. I love that Zacian Pig form is like the Route 3 Loomian that you can find, and it just has the most insane move pool. You know, it's mono ground, which, yes, that's a good typing. This coverage, wacky. This awesome. Priority on a Boast Gloves user is huge. You know, it's only 40 base power non-stab, but when you're +1/+1, it's party time. So I love this Borak set. We have standard Lumishent, the OG Lumishent, you know, very robust, sluggish, Flash and Flee, whatever, Shade Pearl still on this thing. I kept Shade Pearl on this because Umbrat really popped up, and, you know, it was just good to have against that thing. Now, you might be able to get away with something like a no rejuve restrictive item on this. Maybe you would go restrictive shield, maybe armor. I don't know. I think Shade Pearl is still awesome. It was when I played it, at least. I don't know. Then we have Lashent, Milkshake, Petrifying, of course, the normal spread. And, you know, moves look a little weird. Thistle Slash on here. Thistle Slash, you're probably wondering why. Why would you ever choose that move? And my reasoning for this is crits are actually pretty big against Loomians that can set up defensive boosts. It has a pretty useful utility in that, but also this lets you deal with things that take the dark moves and things that you don't want to blow yourself up timber thrashing. I just like it. I've had a lot of good games thanks to Thistle Slash. Then Ursnack, very sluggish, robust, clever. I just want as little speed as possible. I think very robust might be slightly better if you like do all the calcs and whatever, but I just like having the super slow baffle. So you get your baffle, you have gain drain, which is absolutely huge, and then knock off, and you have heartbreak. And why not pep jab? Well, I'm gonna tell you, I've never won a game because of 30 extra base power on invested Ursnack, but I have actually won games from the depths, having deservedly lost already. I've had them just become crazy comebacks because of like days RNG. It can happen, you know, you make a thing hit itself 3 times in a row thanks to Heartbreak, and you're golden. This is a good health amulet user too. Tank got nerfed. Hazard stack is super strong. So what do we have? Well, we have 2 teardown mons. The standard OG Stratosaur, this thing sets up, goes to town. It's also got a ton of defensive utility. You know, we have some defenses invested here. And with Toxic Filter, it can come in, perch up, like surprisingly good at that. Also, yeah, and then it goes crazy. You burst up, you magnify, you kill stuff. It's cool. I replaced Mysterious Dust from the original version of this team with Heavy Shield because I think Moth is going to need Heavy Shield into some of the scary stuff that's out right now. And it's, you know, it's the standard trapping set, Pestilence Provoke, it can heal, and it has hazard removal. I don't know. Thunder Summon prevents this thing from ever, like, going to sleep. Not that people run that anymore, but it also lets Borok pop off with Earthquake hitting air types, and it helps these stab electric brute force thunder strikes go absolutely nuts. So this team synergizes pretty well. You know, Lumishent plus Ursnack is still a very legit defensive core, still used, still strong, still great, actually. Do not sleep on this just because it's not like avant-garde or whatever. And yeah, I mean, it's good. It was good enough that I didn't lose with it last season, but I still think it looks a little scuffed. I mean, I could probably make something better, maybe. But for the time being, there you go. There's a balanced team. A balanced team that is ladder tested somewhat recently. The only difference is Cephalops isn't around anymore, so if anything, this team should be a bit better. You know, Moth isn't getting nuked, Luminami's not getting nuked, Lishent's not getting nuked. Yeah, actually, this team might be buffed. This might be like a super buff team right now. But there you go. There's a second team for you. Okay, so now we are 17 minutes into the guide, and I haven't even started the actual part of this guide that there was supposed to be. You know, I had to do a little extra team building because it's a new season now. Like, I'm not just gonna leave you hanging after I took that long, but there are chapters, so if you already know how to team build, you're already using a team that you made, or you want to make your own thing, or someone passed you something, and you skipped here, okay, now we're on to the real stuff. First, snipping tool. You have to screenshot your opponent's team. Hit the Windows button at the start of the game, like in the team preview screen. Take a little screenshot of the team, and then you can circle the Loomians that actually show up in the battle. You can cross them off when they die, and if you're really going turbo, you can record health percentages. I never bothered doing that, but I did always screenshot every team I ran into. It's just a good habit. Make sure you do it. If you play on your phone or you can't screenshot, actually just get out of like a notebook and write it down. Like, you gotta do it somehow, so that's something to get out of the way. And now we're going to move on to the damage calculator. And then after we do that, we're going to get into like actual games. Alright, the next tool that you will inevitably use at some point is this damage calculator. You can find it by just searching Loomian Legacy damage calculator. It'll come up. It's on it's the GitHub link. But anyway, you can add your own sets. Basically the way you do it is, you know, let's make one really quick. Let's grab Mutun. Let's call it Chungus, and I'll just go for something normal here. So yeah, let's run it. You know, this Mutun could actually be pretty nasty on like a banana split team. So we have Chungus, and now we can hit save sets. So the sets are copied. And then we can paste into here, and we just click anywhere on the screen. And let's see if we even have to refresh. Yeah, we don't even have to refresh the page. That Mutun is just here. So all of my things that I like using are on here. Everything that I've ever used, you know, I have multiple sets of certain things that I love, like Stratosaur. I've used a million different Stratosaurs. But yeah, the big benefits of this are, one, you can calc sets, right? So, you know, if you get knocked by a Lishent and it does like not a ton of damage, you're like, oh cool, it's bulky, whatever. if you get knocked by Lishent and it does like a lot more damage, you're like, oh, that's probably like a gloves variant. So, you know, you can calc the damage you take to scout your opponent's sets, and importantly, you can figure out if you can break certain things at certain points of the game. So, for example, in Season 0, a scenario that I ran into a lot was pre-nerf Magma Dire being an absolute menace. Here's the thing, you don't want to give this thing a turn of setup or you probably lose unless you can just outspeed it and OHKO it somehow. So what I like to do, I'll put a clip of it on screen now, I like to pivot around on it. So I would chip it with pivot because it's kind of like a mid-ground, right? If they OHKO my thing and I get Borok in on something that isn't +2, I'm chilling because any wall he brings in is getting 2-hit KO'd. And if he leaves the Magma Dire and Magma Dire goes down, and I have a pretty chill path to the win. You can't really make that play though unless you know for sure that you're going to be able to kill the thing, and Magma Dire outsped Borok in this clip. But Borok has priority. But it's not the strongest priority. So I have to know, like, will Lishent's Fade Away put this thing in range of Quick Pounce? And so in this clip I calc that it will. Yeah, it will. It puts Magma Dire pretty low, and you might think like, well, its health looks really low, of course it'll die, but there are a lot of scenarios where it's hard to tell, you know. Here in this clip, I calced Mega Chomp flinch will get this thing dead, most likely, and so I send it, I go for it, because what is this thing realistically going to hit me with anyway? And it pays off, it super pays off. So that's a little showcase of the Loomian Legacy damage calculator. And if you're not sure what kind of sets your opponents can run, you can find the Loomian Legacy free sets Discord. Alright, so I have put a link in the description of this to the free sets Discord. Now, if the link is expired for whatever reason, I don't think it will be, but if it is, just comment and I'll update it. Anyway, if you see like Guard Drone and you're like, dude, what the fuck is a Guard Drone? You can check free sets and see what it's likely to be running. Now, keep in mind, it's not always gonna line up there, you know. Last season I ran into the, at the time, rank 1 player on the ladder, and I saw Lishent, and I thought, cool. Fog went up, and I thought, okay, there's no way this thing's gloomy, right? Not only was it gloomy, but it was very nimble boots gloomy. So you will find weird stuff. It's not always going to align with what you see on free sets, but it is helpful if you're coming back from a huge break like I was and you have no idea what anything does. Okay, so now it's time to talk about the point at which the game actually starts in Loomian Legacy, which is the team preview screen. You know, your first major battle decisions are made before the game even starts. So I'm going to run you through what that looks like. So here's an opponent. We're fighting a Zulong, Halvantic, Barbadger, super offensive team. I'm going to snip this, get a screenshot. I'm 100% bringing Zulong for speed control already, but Ursnack, you know, gonna need Ursnack for the Halvantic, a big melee breaker with electric, poison, dark. Obviously Ursnack has to come out, right? If that thing's gloves and I don't have Ursnack, I'm cooked. We're gonna bring Boar because Boar can blow up Charonix. Boar actually OHKOs it. I believe OHKOs Garbantus with Rogue Assault are very close to it. We'll end up calcing that later. And it hits just everything on his team. It also has priority, so that Quick Pounce at +1 with a Choice Band is going to hit really hard. He doesn't have a grass type, so Flash and Flee is free on Luminami. And then for our last one, this is where it's going to get tricky. I'm going to go with Stratosaur. And the reason I'm going with Stratosaur is because once Zulong goes down, well, also Halvantic, Stratosaur can pop off. Barbadger gets smoked. Everything gets kind of cooked. And because I saw that his team didn't have a ton of ranged power, I'm assuming the Zulong isn't going to be boots. So our first game went pretty well. It was pretty relaxed. We got a quick win. Our team choice really did great. So We're only middle ladder. It's not a big deal, you know. It's early season, so like maybe there will be good opponents here anyway. But hopefully this is just a good way to show kind of what the thought process is. So again, first thing we're gonna do is screenshot whatever team we fight as soon as I can join this game. And okay, this is a massive improvement. We have absolute Metamance, like Zubrat team. We got Loomian, Tyrex on here, could be restrictive shield. We got Krakaloa, or Glacadia. Now I'm thinking we're gonna bring our standard breaking core fast pivot with the Borok. Borok smokes this team, no ground immunity, and yeah, you might think, well, Luminami gets kind of cooked. I think Shade Pearl is going to be great bait for the Umbrat. You know, if it stays in and it gets pivoted on, it's going to take a ton of chip, get put in range of Quick Pounce, and Luminami won't really take that much damage. I think it'll take 60 from gloves. And yeah, the only plant type is Lashent. Lashent is kind of easy to double on with Zulong. And Lashent also can't even really deal with Luminami that well unless it's like Brawn Boost, which it's not going to be on this team. We don't need Moth, and the reason we don't need Moth is the other ranged attacker is Glacadia. There's an Umbrat, which is just going to fade on that thing for 10 billion damage into like Tyrex or something. Like, I just don't see Moth doing a ton of work this game. And then Stratosaur could potentially be really useful. It might be a better bring than Lashent. But I think Lashent has a little bit of an easier time staying alive, and I think that Icicle Trap is going to be nice. Now I'm going to assume this thing isn't boots because they're all goggles, and on a team like this I'm just going to guess it's goggles. So we're going to do the same thing we did last time and immediately Elemental Burst and see if we immediately win the game this time. He should just go Tyrex, and if he does go Tyrex, we're going to reveal that we're boots. That's okay. I don't mind. Let's see, Tyrex comes out, and okay, I'll fast forward to the end of this game, I guess, because this might take a while. Okay, we've moved up to the end of this battle now. You can see our team is still extremely healthy. We're going hard into Borok, predicting a Zip Zap. If we get Fire Breath, we're going to live. If we get Elemental Bursted, we're probably going to live. And we get it. Now here's the thing. This is not a choice-locked Loomian. And I'm thinking this... okay. Yeah, we're going to see if we get this switch right. This game should be over pretty soon. I think... I don't think this guy has much left to fight, to stay alive against what he's up against. Let's see. Lashent comes in, and yeah, you see those Icicle Traps. Huge value on it. I love Lashent just for the ability to set traps. Okay, this should be over pretty soon. Yeah, it's over. Woohoo! Okay, lastly, I'm gonna do a quick team preview analysis of my game against last season's rank 1, and that was played on Weister's hyper offense team, which I'm just giving away because it's been used so much on ladder at this point by us and a lot of other people that it's definitely a known team. It's whatever, you guys might as well have it and have fun with it. You know, if people haven't seen this video and they don't know about this team, you can get some pretty good wins. And notably, this is Hyper Offense's worst matchup, which is Stall. I believe the other two on this team, by the way, were Luminami, I think, and the other one was Protagon. I think this was full Stall with a revenge-killing Goggles Protagon. If I'm wrong about that, and Pid is watching this, you can comment and let me know what you're actually running, but I'm like 99% sure it was Luminami Protagon. And you saw this whole team earlier. So... why is this guy here? Well, Icicle Traps blow through these guys, and they also bait in the fire type, which lets me hopefully get some good predictions into something like a Rancidor that can fire off something strong, or even like a Rancidor into a double on a Stratosaur. You know, you can get fancy with it, but Icicle traps will be big, webs can potentially be really nice against Protogon, and even if that isn't nice against Protogon, a priority flinch move that's super effective off of a monkey that hits pretty hard. I think this thing is just going to bring a lot of utility here. Then Dakuda, Luminami killer, Lushent killer, blows through this guy, even in heat. Super threatening to Plasmoth, pretty threatening to Spreezy, strong into this guy. Like, Dakuda is just amazing. I actually have no idea how Dakuda didn't 5-0 this game. He must have played quite well and like burned it or something, I don't know. Don't really remember, but Dakuda, obvious bring into this team just because it hits so hard, plus having provoke plus bulk, massive. Then we're going to get into the immediate power thing. So earlier I mentioned that having immediate power is really, really important on a hyper offense team, but teams in general. So what immediate power means is you can come in and just immediately click. You don't have to set up, you don't need anything to be right, you just fire off something strong, right? Think of like if you play SVOU like Specs, Kiram, Freeze Dry, right? There isn't a lot that's going to come in on that comfortably, like it's just hitting hard. That is what goes through Stall. Stall does really well into setup sweepers, which is why Stall has the most favorable matchup of any archetype against hyper offense. So I was pretty worried about that, and I figured, you know, Dakuda kind of has immediate power because Cuff's Brute Force is a ton of damage. Rancidor is the immediate power because it's Goggles. So both of those have to be here, right? Immediate power is the way to go through Stall. Now that kind of team preview stuff comes from matchup knowledge. You might not have matchup knowledge until you get reps in on ladder, and that's okay. If you, every time you lose a game, you learn something from it. So if you lose a game because you don't really understand a matchup, that's all right. You might not lose the next one in the same matchup, so don't worry too much about that kind of stuff. But even if we're not thinking about that concept, you know, Poison Ancient into a team like this, you know, it does get shut down pretty effectively by some of these ranged walls. But Lushent has to switch on Rancidor. Krakaloa has to switch on Rancidor. A weakened Spreezy has to switch on Rancidor. There's a lot going for that guy here. And then we have Terradescent. And Terradescent is just a great pick because it threatens to Oko Lushent. It does a ton of damage to this guy, and if it gets some boosts, it can hit Plasmoth really hard too. And this ended up being the win condition in the end. I did not bring Joltooth, and the big reason for that is, well, really the whole team. Joltooth doesn't do enough damage to really feel like it's worth it, and I wanted a little bit of longevity because I had never played Stall in this season. This was my first time fighting it. I was also worried about Protogon, and I just thought, if I'm gonna go for a win con into like a no Protogon bring, I think this is gonna be the guy to do it rather than the Joltooth. And then on top of that, you know, there's a little bit of meta with the team preview. I think that he was a little bit worried about Joltooth, which is why the Luminami didn't end up coming out. And I was worried about that. I thought, you know, if Joltooth comes into a no Luminami bring, or like something with a Protogon and I lose my monkey, like, it's just not going to do very much. So the whole shtick of this team preview thing, the whole reason it's so important to know is because in a bring 7 pick 5 format, it is like you cannot win games if, for example, your opponent brings a Protogon that blows up your whole team except for a heavy shield Eliguana. Like, if you have a heavy shield Eliguana and you see a Protogon in their team, you have to bring it. You just do. And if you are running like a banana split team and you see a bunch of anomaly users, you probably don't want to bring that, or you want to be really smart about when you put the banana split up, because you know, if you give a Drogo +1, it might just go absolutely nuts and ruin your day. So just keep that in mind. It's really, really easy to come up with like some basic kind of cores. Like I think if you run the Zubor team, you can guarantee 2 of your slots every game are going to be Zulong and Borok. And if your defensive core then is the rest of the team basically, where Stratosaur has this kind of mixed role of simultaneously, you know, being hazard control, a defensive switch, and just randomly a nasty setup sweeper, you can kind of start like, okay, I'm gonna go Zubor, and then like of the Lumi Shent Snack 3, what do I need? What are the 3 that are gonna cover this? If there's a Halvantic, you're definitely gonna be bringing Ursnack. It's pretty straightforward, and you'll pick it up pretty quickly, I think. But just try to, you know, if you're gonna build your own team or you're gonna run a team that you see, try to keep in mind like the few that you will always bring. Now on a hyper offense team, there might never be that because it's really like matchup fishy, and it really depends on like if they have nothing to outspeed your guys with or without Banana Split, you're probably not bringing Banana Split. If everything on their team has Anomaly, you're probably not going to bring Banana Split either. So like, I don't know, it'll be weird. If you need immediate power, you're going to bring everything that has it. If you're worried about like a Zulong going crazy on your team and reverse sweeping you, you're definitely bringing Tyrex. But like, yeah, with balanced teams, with bulky offense, with just generally more offensive teams, you don't have to worry as much about like being super precise with it if you have like 2 or 3 or even 4 that are going to come in every single time. You know, for me, on these Ichabor balanced teams, like, or Zubor balanced teams, it's always going to be my fast pivot and my strongest, you know, melee breaker in that Borok. And then it comes down to like, what do I need to patch up the team? Or like, do I need weather? Do I need to have like a Thunder Summon Plasmoth to remove their weather, give myself the ability to Earthquake air types, buff Zulong's damage, stuff like that. So I hope that little team preview explanation has been helpful. Okay, this has been going on for a while. Sorry about that. I promise it will be helpful. The last things about team preview, you don't have to overthink it. Just ask yourself, what is the most threatening thing on my opponent's team? And do I have anything that I need to bring to stop it? What is my opponent's win condition? How do I shut it down? What is my own win condition? You know, if you have only one strong, like hard-hitting melee attacker and they have a Venolin, you're probably going to have to bring it, you know? You can keep it simple with that until you figure out some of the more, I don't know, nebulous and specific details about that, but when you're just starting out, and this guide is meant to be for newer players, you know, I'm giving teams, I'm trying to explain things like the damage calculator, you know, these are things that I think everybody who's ever been high ladder on Showdown would be like, why are you fucking yapping about this shit? This is like, everybody does this, everyone knows this. But if you're new, just keep the team preview stuff simple for now, and yeah, I guess at this point I should probably recap. This has been going on for a while. So the first thing we did was we looked at 2 sample teams that I think are fine. I think either team will get to ace no problem. Yeah, I hope you have fun with them. I think both are pretty easy to get. Maybe the hyper offense is easier. There isn't an Ursnack on it. But both are good. Both are very viable. I've used both in the last season, Year 1, Season 2. And they both popped off. I beat very good players with both of them. So I hope they bring you some utility. After we looked at those teams, we talked a little bit about Snipping Tool, the importance of screenshotting the opposing team, making sure you always have a reference to see what they can bring, what you should be worried about. You always have to do that. Then we looked at the damage calculator, something to use. It's pretty important. It's not necessary, but I can't think of a lot of people who play like 100% calc free. I think just about everybody who ever gets high ladder is calcing things pretty regularly. Finally, we talked about team preview, and team preview is the real game concept. The other stuff is kind of technical stuff. You know, here's a team. You know, now you can play the game. Screenshot teams. Here's how you do it. Calculate team preview. That's the first part of the guide. The next part 3 to this, is going to be how to play when you're ahead, how to play when you're behind, and how to identify that game state. I cannot fit that into this video because this shit has already gone on for long as fuck. But next vid is going to be all about game state identification, win con identification, and how to play in accordance with what you know about those things. So all of this is Pokemon fundamentals as well. If you're ever bored of Loomian Legacy but you like this kind of game, hop on Showdown, have fun, and yeah, good luck on the ladder. Hope this has been somewhat useful. Peace.